From Iron Maiden, and you're watching MTV's Bailey Brothers Donington special, live from Donington Park. So stay tuned for some more videos and news of a wonderful competition to win various things, including tour jackets and Iron Maiden bits and bobs, after this.
Never get a rest, these Bailey brothers, and neither does Bruce Dickinson, because we've dragged him away from pre-preparation for this year's Monster Rock Festival. He's joined us in the studio. Cheers for that, Bruce.
Yes.
Well, some kind of a studio.
In the bunker.
Yeah, the bunker.
the quietest place in Donington.
That's right. It is nice and quiet. It makes a change. Well, tell us, Bruce, just before we talk about Monsters of Rock Festival and what you're going to do today, tell us a little bit more about Bruce Dickinson. How did you land the job in Iron Maiden?
Well, I didn't really land it so much as Steve approached me one day at Reading Festival when I was playing there with Samson, and said that, that Paul was going, and was I interested in trying out for it. So I tried out for it, and it worked. It worked. Yeah. So, I mean, it was as simple as that, really. I mean, I did a session in a rehearsal studio with them for an afternoon, and they were actually going off to, I think, somewhere like Sweden or something to do a couple more shows, just finish up the tour. And they wanted actually to go into a recording studio like that afternoon and try it in a studio, see what it sounded like, but we had to wait about 4 weeks or something before we could go into a studio and try it. Yeah. And that's when we did, one of the tracks was Remember Tomorrow, which turned out as a B-side, live. You know, in fact, because we dubbed my voice on over a live, it was the live version of it, we dubbed my voice on over. And in fact, you can still, on the audience mics, of course, you can still hear Paul sort of like chatting away and stuff like that. So we had to try and cover it up, you know. So it's quite amusing, actually. We had quite fun, because he would sort of like go, yo, and stuff like that in the middle of it, and I'd have to sort of go, and stuff, you know, and very loudly, just sort of, you know. But it was quite amusing. I think most fans spotted that as well, which is, you know, which is good.
Yeah. But as soon as you started as well, I mean, like Maiden was always been big, but when you joined them, like the first single, Run to the Hills, it was straight in at number 7, about 82 time, was it?
Yeah, 82, 81, 82, something like that, yeah. I think Number of the Beast was obviously the album that really took us worldwide and broke us in that respect. I mean, it was one of those albums that was just the right album in the right place at the right time, I think. The ambition with Maiden has always been to broaden the audience without sort of selling yourself short, as it were. You know, to make there's certain kinds of people that are going to enjoy Iron Maiden. Some quite surprising kinds of people, like get into the band. And I always like to think that there's no hard and fast rule. You know, as to who can be a Maiden fan and who can't, you know. The only rule is that you just got to like the music, and that's all right. You know, anybody can like the music. The kind of, you know, fandom that I don't really get off on is people who just sort of like buy one record or something like that, and suddenly they're all over the band and all the rest of it.
I know what you mean.
You know, I mean, I think some bands try and manufacture that. You know, there's a whole like market out there, a whole bunch of people who don't really want to get that much involved with like the depth of what's going on in the music. They just want to get involved in like the image and the haircuts and all the rest of it. And that to me that's a load of nonsense. So
that's how Bruce Dickinson started.
What, the haircut?
Yeah, good. Can we talk a little bit about sports? Now,
Sport, okay. And now, sport.
You're one of the top 20 fencers in Britain. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about Bruce? Yeah. Do you still practice a lot?
Yes.
Time?
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously when I'm touring, you know, the main thing is touring. So, but when I get days off and things like that, for example, after Donington, I've got about 5 or 6 days off before the German Monsters of Rock shows. So my coach is actually taking some British under-20 fencers over to Budapest. Yeah. So I'm just going to go up to Budapest and train for 4 or 5 days and things like that. So, you know...
It's a nice way of working out and getting the attention before.
Yeah, that's right, you know, I mean...
You know, when you go out on tour, what sort of entourage have you got with you now these days? I mean, how many buses and... Can you keep in touch with all that now? It's not like it used to be in the early days with the transit van.
No, transit van, yeah, that's right. Well, we had, when I was in Samson, we had a Ford Escort called Mr. Heath, who used to, it was, I mean, it was lethal. It was definitely dangerous to your marriage prospects if you sat in the wrong place on the back seat, because the springs used to shoot up through the upholstery if you went over a big bump. Anyway, that's by the by. We carry approximately 50 people on the road with us in North America, maybe a few more, maybe a few less, of which probably 11 of those are actually truck drivers, because we usually carry, it's 6 trucks and 5 buses on the road in the States. Obviously there's 5 of us, and we've got 2 or 3 security guys, wardrobe lady, production assistant, tour manager, stage manager, and you've got, you know, sound guy, monitor guy, lighting guy, we've got a guy for the vari lights, and then the rest of it just breaks down into people who rig the whole thing up, because most of the shows in America we hang everything from the ceiling. Yeah. So you've got to have guys who go up there, climb up there into the roof, and like put the points up so they can hang everything down. And then you just get down to people who basically set up the gear and follow spot operators. Before you know it, you're up to 40.
More to it than the fans realise. I mean, the fans just see the band and think, God, what a great show. They don't realise what it takes.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of technical people and everything behind every show. This show, the whole thing started actually at the last Donington.
You mentioned it.
Remember it?
Yeah, I mentioned it. Yes, it was Rod who put me up to it. Go on stage and like mention it. But the whole preparation of the show, we had a whole bunch of people down at that show last year, working out how to do it better.
12 months in advance.
Well, yeah, because it was the only chance we got to see the whole thing working.
So you knew them even before last year's Donington?
Yeah, we were planning it a year ago to do Donington, and so we decided we'd obviously keep the lid on it a bit, but we'd bring the sound guys down, the lighting guys, the stage construction guys, and work out a few different ways of doing things, and also have people looking at, like, you know, the boring things that make a festival go good, which is is there enough loos, and can people get to them, and you know, I mean.
It's
sounds daft things.
127, I think, this year.
127. Oh my God, is that all?
That should do for us 3.
It sounds like there's going to be a few catastrophes out there today. Jesus.
The PA system, is it around about 80 foot? So I've heard. I don't know how true this is.
80 feet.
Yeah.
PA system.
Yeah.
It probably is, but I mean, I don't really measure the PA systems in...
Is it the American show you're bringing?
Yeah, that's what we're saying, is it from the American show?
What, you mean the stage side?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, fundamentally it's the American stage show, but extended with additional lighting and with additional stage platforms and all the rest of it. We've very seldom been able to put on, if at all, a full showing, a really totally full show in Great Britain, because of restrictions on pyrotechnics, because of restrictions on stage size and everything. It's nice to be able to do everything completely unrestricted. So it's going to be a very, very good show.
I can remember once reading an article with KISS where they were saying it's been difficult for them to bring a full American show over here.
Oh, it is. The only really way you can do it is doing it outdoors.
It's going to be the biggest firework display ever at Donington.
I hope so.
And a lot of people's wondering, the main question, one of the questions, the appearance of Eddie. Is it going to be a different one?
Yeah.
A surprise?
Of course.
Are you going to give us any tips?
No.
I knew who gave them.
You have to wait, but I mean, I'm sure that, you know, you'll be like news of Eddie, you know, pictures at 11, you know, appearing on this show later, live as it happens. Who am I looking at? Hi. Yeah. on this very screen, you'll see pictures of the new Eddie,